everybody, I'm Dr. Todd and welcome to this week's episode of the Miller Method. Today we are talking about whether or not having more muscle is good for fat loss. And this is a pretty hot topic right now. You hear a lot of people talking about resistance training being the way to train to lose fat, and we're going to sort of address why that might be, why that might not be. So you may have heard people say that having more muscle increases your metabolic rate because muscle burns a lot of fat. And the conventional wisdom, a lot of things you'll hear on the internet, is that muscle burns about 50 calories per day at rest. So a pound of muscle will burn about 50 calories per day at rest. That's what you hear. Now let's see if that's really true. So a couple days ago I did a body fat test on myself with our DEXA scan, and it came out to show that I have 152 pounds of muscle. So if I have 152 pounds of muscle and I multiply that by 50 calories per day, what does my total daily caloric burn come out to be? My total daily caloric burn would come out to be 7,600 calories. And I can tell you that that is not true. I do not burn 7,600 calories a day. If I did, that would mean that I could eat 7,000 calories a day and not gain any weight, and I know that's not true. So what is a more reasonable number? A more reasonable number is about 2,000 calories a day. And we have a resting metabolic rate up here of about 1,920 calories a day, and we'll tell you why that is in a second. So why then do people say we should weight train in order to lose fat? Some studies have shown that a pound of muscle will only burn 6 calories per day at rest. So if that's true, and I add 10 pounds of muscle, I'm really only burning about 60 more calories per day, which is the equivalent of about 5 baked potato chips. So it's probably not really a great strategy for weight loss. However, I think what's important is not having more muscle, but the quest to get more muscle. So it's really the training for an increase in muscle that can result in the significant calorie burn. So what am I talking about? So anytime we do an activity, it elevates our oxygen consumption. We know that. We breathe heavier, we take in more air, we burn more calories. What a lot of people don't know is that our oxygen consumption remains elevated after that activity is over. And that phenomenon is called EPOC, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. And the amount of oxygen that you burn following an exercise is largely dependent on the intensity of the exercise. And there's conflicting evidence as to whether weight training really causes increases in EPOC or not. I think it does, depending on how the exercises are done. And I'm going to talk about some studies in particular. One showed that resistance training can cause a 20% increase in resting metabolic rate, a 20% increase in EPOC following that training. So what does that mean on a practical sense? So if I have a resting metabolic rate of 1,920 calories per day, that comes out to about 80 calories per hour of caloric burn at rest. So let's say my resting caloric burn is 80 calories per hour. And I'm sitting here at rest doing nothing, and all of a sudden I do a heavy resistance training workout. And that heavy resistance training workout causes an increase in my EPOC of 20%. So that means my caloric expenditure increases by 16 calories. 20% of 80 is 16. So my new caloric burn, my new resting metabolic rate is 96 calories per hour. Now what's interesting about that 16 calorie increase is not really a lot, right? But what's interesting is that in this study in particular, that increase lasted for 2 days, okay? So if we have a 96 calorie resting metabolic rate, and that lasts for 2 days, that means our resting metabolic rate has increased 16 calories per hour for 48 hours. And if we multiply 16 times 48, we get an additional caloric burn of 768 calories. That is significant. So over those 2 days, we're burning an extra 768 calories. Okay, so clearly that is going to have an effect, could have a potential effect on what our long-term weight goals are. So next time we're going to look at what aerobic exercise does to EPOC and how resistance training and aerobic exercise can be combined to sort of produce what I believe to be the ultimate sort of fat burning workout. Thanks.